up, y'all? It's your boy, the one and only Ace Switch, aka No Onion, aka Please Stop Pulling My Chest Hairs. Oh, oh my God. Oh boy, it took me out. It clearly took me out. AKA raspberry jelly with no dressing. AKA who put this knife in my pocket. AKA Komaki Taika Dropper. AKA the nigga Lip Master. Bringing you yet another episode of Switcher Sites, episode 171. We making some moves. We made some moves. For maybe the one random person that cared. I did finally fix my mic issue where I don't know if it was like the mic being uneven or unlevel or whatever, but for those that may not know or were aware, my mic kept basically was not standing still. It was basically shifting towards me, so it'll fall on my chest essentially, or my mouth while I'm speaking. So the solution for maybe whomever may be having a similar issue is to get what's called, I believe, a gooseneck. Generally, like at least what I got, like I think $10 from Amazon. It's like a gooseneck phone mount, and that essentially fixed the issue because I used it to provide resistance towards the and I hope let me make sure I feel like I'm hearing myself more than I should. Just gotta double check. Okay, I think I'm fine. I think I'm just being weird. But nonetheless, gooseneck, which you know, it's like basically similar to neck of a goose. I mean, but you can adjust it to where at least you could essentially make your own custom like point for the mic stand to the mic arm to make contact with, so it'll basically permit it from, you know, coming closer to you. Essentially, it gives it a stopping point, essentially. So pretty much after doing that, as you can tell, this mic is staying where it's at. You know what I mean? So hey, small wins, you know, small wins. You love to see it. You love to witness it. What else? Oh yes, I forgot. Well, you guys are getting a not technically super early episode of the show. Obviously, I normally record on Thursday evenings, but had to make a special exception because boy, tomorrow, I guess technically today, depending on who you ask, time zone wise, tomorrow gonna be a special day. We got John Wick 4 coming out in theaters. You best believe I'm gonna be one of the first to watch. Then after that, Resident Evil 4 Remake comes out. Probably like at 9 p.m. Pacific time for me. So boy, tomorrow's gonna be a great day. So with that being said, I knew from the bottom of my heart that no record was gonna happen tomorrow. So I was like, you know, I could have waited, or I could just, you know, just get it done today. So I was like, you know what? Let me choose the former, which I did. So there you go. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah, outside of that, I have a pretty good show for you today. Talking about the PS5 rumors, PS5 Pro rumors, excuse me, as well as Counter-Strike 2. Some further development. So apparently that was announced. So yeah, you know what? You know what? Let's stop the dilly dallying and get right into it. First topic of discussion. Counter-Strike 2 announced. So I think basically it's just today, earlier this morning today, Thursday or Wednesday, Counter-Strike 2, which was heavily rumored, we talked about last episode. They finally announced it. They introduced a couple, like 3 introductory videos, kind of essentially going over some of the new implementations for Counter-Strike 2. One of the videos is moving beyond tick rate, which is essentially pretty much how frequent your responses are uploaded to the server and presumably towards the other players that you interact with, essentially. So basically, it was somewhat of a fairly recognizable delay when playing the game online, in terms of like when you shoot versus if the other person gets shot, essentially. But now with the new Counter-Strike 2 that they're making, I forgot the terminology they use, but basically it's going to be more updates in regards to the tick rate. So what that means is that it will essentially it'll essentially update more frequently. So pretty much whenever you shooting, it's actually more accurate and not as much of a delay, which in turn, hey, is all for the better, at least on paper, from what they say. Then of course, miscellaneous map adjustments in terms of like the aesthetic to be in line with the new engine. And then responsive smokes, which is basically smokes are more reactive and like, I guess, more realistic in terms of like when you throw a smoke, it within like they showed in a video, like if it's a circular area where there's like, kind of like the upside down cake pie, if for whatever reason you would fight in that, if you were to hypothetically throw a smoke grenade in there, the smoke would actually be smart and surround, like more or less in a real world setting. Generally it will circle around the whole area, filling the whole surface area, if you will, of said area in terms of throwing a smoke. So little stuff like that just seems to be the tip of the iceberg in terms of the news regarding Counter-Strike 2. Also, there is I forgot the terminology used, but essentially a test or an alpha test, I'm assuming, where basically, I forgot what they said with the stipulations were, but I think it was a couple. If you wanted to get in said beta alpha, whatever you want to call it. I think for one is that you have to have been recently playing Counter-Strike Go. Select CSGO players. The stipulations, there are a number of factors. So players are selected based on a number of factors deemed important by the Counter-Strike 2 development team, including but not limited to recent playtime on Valve official servers, trust factor, and Steam account standing. And then basically you can check, how do you know if you've been selected for the Counter-Strike 2 limited test? If you're choosing to participate in the Counter-Strike 2 limited test, you will receive a notification on the main menu of CSGO. If you receive an invitation, select enroll and begin your download. When the download is complete, launch CSGO and select limited test option to play the Counter-Strike 2 limited test. And they said most players will be added to the limited test over time. So you can keep checking the CSGO main menu to see if you have received an invite. And they did also announce the date for Counter-Strike 2. Counter-Strike is expected to ship summer 2023, so actually not too far from now. So it seems like they're probably going to run this test up until then. If there aren't any, glaring issues withstanding. At least in terms of the test, Counter-Strike 2 Limited Test will offer deathmatch and unranked competitive matchmaking on Dust 2. Hey, that's the tried and true method right there. Future limited test releases will offer other game modes, maps, and features. Cool. And I think one very important note for I think a lot of hardcore CSGO players is, and yes, in fact, all your weapon finishes, stickers, and other CSGO inventory items will be available to use in Counter-Strike 2. They say, please report any inventory item and weapon finish bugs you encounter using the previously mentioned bug report process. So I think that was a big question that a lot of people had in regards to, hey, well, I don't know if I'm really want to jump if people probably put like thousands of dollars in, skins and weapons and I think victory songs and stuff like that. That it would be a very hard ask to just like, oh, well, see you later, CSGO. Let's go back. Let's go to CS2 now. So thankfully, at least your purchases are safe. So I think what led to other people suspecting that probably this is going to be sunsetted, kind of like the way of Overwatch 1 and 2, where essentially it's going to fully replace the game instead of, some people who, for whatever reason, may still want to stick with CSGO. That's all they know. They don't want change. They won't be able to go to that. But I mean, from what it looks like, obviously not the hardest of core of Counter-Strike fan here, but gameplay seems very close and similar to CSGO. Of course, obviously they're not going to try to, reinvent the wheel, make bread all over again or what have you. So seems like they're doing it the best way they can. Pretty good approach. Somebody who hasn't probably launched that game in like sometime last year, I want to say like around maybe the holidays of last year, maybe I tried to launch it, and probably I think a total gameplay game. Let me check my Steam actually. Let me check my Steam real quick. What is this? That's cool. Let's see. What are the odds of me being able to play Counter-Strike? I'm gonna update that queue though. 57.9 hours. I last played. Damn! Oh my god! I last played almost a full year from now. May 16th, 2022 was the last time I played, and I played 57.9 hours. And mind you, the throughout the whole course of the game's lifespan so far, which has been what, like 11 years. Came out in 2012, and I've only put like not even 60 hours. So I safe to say I probably might not be the best candidate. But I don't know. It depends on who you ask. 'Cause like, people like myself who gave it a fair try and fell off for one reason or another. I assume they would probably want to include a fair pool of those people too. So at least with my thing with Counter-Strike, of course, like I said on Twitter a little earlier, Counter-Strike is very special to me. It was for sure my first online game I played, on weirdly enough, on the Xbox. Of all things, not PC, but Xbox. Literally played the console version, being a broke young kid. But man, those were some very fun times. So at least then going to PC and actually having a PC able to run it also, it was, I don't know. I guess, that was the other thing too. Like Call of Duty was, you know, really at its top, its super prime at the time. I think, excuse me, around like, this was like around when I think Modern Warfare 3 came out for the 360. And, you know, I was very big on Call of Duty, especially after Modern Warfare 2. So I think that filled that like scratch, or scratched that itch, if you will. So it didn't really leave much room for me to still stick with CSGO at the time. But of course, I definitely gave it a fair shake. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was overshadowed by Call of Duty because it felt more accessible, more arcadey, more of kind of a little bit more of what I was like really into at the time specifically. But best believe when Counter-Strike 2 comes out this summer, or maybe if I definitely if I'm able to get into the beta, I'll probably at least launch it, maybe play a team deathmatch here and there and see if I'm able to play the beta. Of course, if I do, we'll share my thoughts on it, of course. So yeah, I'm happy for Counter-Strike. I mean, obviously, don't break what's fixing. don't fix what's not broken. So it seems like, at least based off of what we've seen so far, it seems like they're doing a good job of that. Like, obviously not you know, like I said before, trying to reinvent the wheel or whatnot. So I'm all for it. Give me that Counter-Strike 2. Maybe I'll actually play my PC more. It's a damn shame how much I don't really play my PC, with, you know, some exceptions of some games like Resident Evil 4 Remake. Definitely playing that on PC as well as other platforms. But, you know, nonetheless, moving on. PS5 Pro. I think we kind of talked about this to a brief extent. I think more so of the PS5 revision with the detachable disk drive. But this is more specifically along the lines that there actually is going to potentially maybe a actual PS5 Pro console in the same, you know, line of the PS4 Pro that came out, I think around 2016, to kind of, I don't know, satiate. Well, I think what was interesting for the PS4 Pro when it came out at the time, the PS4 was out for a good while, and it was going to be a decent amount of time before we got a PS5. And this was on the cusp of HDR being a big thing, as well as, well, I guess mainly HDR, and HDMI 2.0, which, you know, also is included with HDR. But that at least led some room for PlayStation to make a PS4 Pro to kind of, you know, appease that audience, as well as, you know, considering that we weren't going to get a new console, 4 years from then. At least probably they didn't know that for sure. But either way, I think that it was at least an experiment to see, kind of similar to, in a way, to Apple. Apple doesn't really do mid refreshes. If anything, like, you know, graphics cards like Nvidia and stuff, Nvidia AMD would do that. But I think it was definitely an experiment, as well as, you know, of course, Xbox doing the same thing with the Xbox One X, even though they were more in need of it than PlayStation. But I think maybe PlayStation wanted to secure their foot, so they didn't have a console that totally trumped PlayStation in terms of, like, you know, pure power. So yeah, so at least it's, of course, rumored by Insider Gaming that a PS5 Pro is in development and could release with a tentative release date of late 2024. So probably like fall 2024, I would guess, probably right before holiday season starts up. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the need for a PS5 Pro in today's climate just doesn't seem that likely, considering that, well, the PS5 is pretty powerful in of itself. So it's hard to kind of fathom how much more powerful a PS5 Pro would be. And it just feels like this console could last until we get a PS6. And that's the other thing too. We still have games being developed for like the PS4 that are being held back because they're being developed for PS4 first, and then, you know, upscaled in a lot of ways to, you know, look a little bit prettier on PS5. So we still haven't necessarily hit like the stride of having like a lot of exclusive PS5 games that would at least give us an idea or concept that, you know, hey, this console is not cutting it when it comes to its own thing. But on paper, it seems like everything is set for this console to be pretty powerful. But we technically haven't really seen that much yet. So with that being in mind, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't really see that happening. I don't think we'll get a PS5 Pro. We'll definitely get revisions, like, you know, like they always do, where they basically make it smaller or more efficient, more cheaper to make. But in terms of, you know, skipping on some parts here and there, maybe, but I just don't see them making a PS5 Pro. I just don't see the need for it. The need for it is not really that apparent. The console's only been out for like 3 years, and on top of that, you're just now able to get a PS5 if you want one, versus, you know, having to wait due to, you know, the shortages that have been rampant since the pandemic. So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think that it's feasible. It makes sense. If it one did it, I don't know. Cause like now I'm thinking, like, let's say they did announce it, and if it did exist, like, how powerful would it be compared to a standard PS5? That's probably my biggest question. If it's some way, somehow way more powerful than a PS5, then sure. But then, like, what about the PS6? And then it's just going to be that weird mix up where, you know, you got to cover all these various versions. And I know that's hell for like developers, as well as like, you know, people like Digital Foundry, who do really good work in terms, you know, reviewing all the specs and whatnot and things like that. So I don't know. I feel I'm more on the side of we're not going to get one. And I know I heard the rumors that PS6 wouldn't come out until 2027. So at least in terms of the proper timing, that would kind of make sense. But I don't know. I just don't see us having a Pro console this generation. I think the PS4 Pro was an experiment, and a lot of things came after the PS4 release that did validate a need to have that at the time. But I just don't really think there's a need for that again. Because, like, what can the PS5 Pro do that the PS5 can already do? It can play 8K video if you have that, if you have even the content for 8K stuff, which is very rare. If only maybe better performance, of course. But I mean, again, we haven't really gotten to any really exclusive games that really, you know, necessarily show the muscle of the PS5 and that it can't handle whatever is being thrown at it. So I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I'd be kind of surprised, because like I just want to know what separates it from a standard PS5. And then also, I guess the only other point is that, like, maybe for PSVR 2, but even the PS5 is able to, you know, from what I hear, able to run PSVR 2 just fine. So I don't think that necessarily is the culprit. Maybe that you can get, I'm not sure of the specs, but maybe you get higher frame rates compared to the standard PS5 in terms of VR. PSVR 2. I don't know. I just don't know. But I guess we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. With that being said, that concludes all the news for this episode. Let's get into what I've been playing. Of course, played the RE4 Remake Demo, which is great. It's just great. Man, where do I start? Well, I never played the original demo, but apparently there was a demo for the GameCube, original GameCube game, or maybe the PS2 one. I don't know, but it seems pretty similar. Actually, I'm curious. I never really looked it up. I want to see if somebody probably uploaded. It might be the search engine might be overridden with RE4 Remake. Let's see. 2 years ago. Wow, it's actually pretty similar to the RE4 Remake demo in terms of, like, you know, the setup. Huh. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks pretty close to the main game. Yeah, the UI is very much different. Huh. So yeah, pretty much fairly similar. Yeah, pretty much the starting point of where you would generally start the game with a little bit of modifications, I would assume, to kind of, you know, not show all their cards, but yeah, basically start at the village section, initial start of the game, and then you basically go to the main village part, the iconic village part where you fight all the miscellaneous village people and try to last. And, you know, it got all the cool Easter eggs. Like if you go in the house, the one particular house, you people who play know what I'm talking about. You'll trigger the Chainsaw Man, aka Dr. Salvador, and you know, he'll try to chain into the room, and everybody will be barricaded. And you know, that's where you find out that these aren't your typical zombies; that they're way much smart. They're more smarter than your average zombies in terms of having an intelligence to have, you know, hey, you go up and break into the house from above, and you everybody else try to break into the other doors, and you know, being smart. So yeah, it looks good. I love the setting. Of course, they definitely changed the setting to make it feel much more scarier, which is pretty cool. It definitely gives off a way more creepier vibe than the original as a whole, in terms of my sentiment coming away from it, for sure. So it's doing everything right. There's some cool, you know, miscellaneous stuff. I mean, obviously it's been, if you've played it or haven't, it's been pretty apparent and, you know, known to people nowadays. But there's this cool little hidden thing called Mad Chainsaw Mode, where basically it's a random chance you get it every time you play, but basically it's a random chance to play the game on like the hardest difficult. It's a custom hardest difficulty, essentially, that won't be, they said for sure, like, hey, this is not going to be in the main game. But a fun little mode where, yeah, pretty much the chainsaw guy is super overpowered. He's like much harder to interrupt, way more health, just, yeah, stuff like that. And he was tough. I kept dying, but what also made it hard is that the chance of it is random, essentially. So let's say you manage to get the mode before you launch the game, and you die. You have to keep basically disabling and triggering the game multiple times to try to get the chance of it again. But man, these savvy gamers, they did discover a cheat code basically that lets you basically trigger it on demand, more accurately, if you will, where you basically just put in the code before you go to start the game and it'll consistently launch the mode. So actually you don't have to, do the arduous task of keep trying to relaunch the game now. So that was a cool discovery. There's a hidden weapon in the game that's pretty dope, the TMP. That I don't think I actually want to spoil how you get it, but if you look online, you'll see how to get it if you really want to. But basically, a very pretty overpowered weapon. It seems to be like very like it's maxed upgraded version of the TMP, fully maxed out. That will definitely help you when trying to beat the game on Mad Chainsaw mode. And they also changed some of the enemy placements, so there's like more enemies in certain parts, like towards the initial part when you initially encounter the one your first Ganado. So yeah. And then they did also show a lot of the stealth elements, the implementation of the new stealth elements, where you can actually, sneak up on enemies and stuff now. Definitely got to play with the knife, like they showed in the trailers. The knife does have durability now. There is a lot more nuance to it in terms of durability, and like certain actions take more or less durability from the knife. So you have to be mindful of that. Like if you're more stealthy and taking enemies out, it takes less durability. If you don't do a perfect parry, a la Third Strike, where pretty much if you ready your weapon at the right moment, you can parry enemies. And you can parry apparently a lot of attacks. I did experiment a little bit. You can parry knife, axe throws, apparently melees. I think I did that once or twice. The chainsaw, I don't think you can parry the chainsaw. Maybe you can, who knows? But you can definitely at least defend yourself if you have durability, but generally that's the most punishing in terms of your durability. So it'll like almost immediately take a very significant chunk of your knife durability. If you have like half, it's pretty much done. And when your knife is out, it's out. I think you can I assume you can repair it when you get to the merchant to be able to repair it. And maybe there's some other means. Because when I found the secret TMP, in terms of how to get it, you have to drop all your weapons before you enter the village. And because you drop all your weapons, you won't have your knife. But if you happen to find like a weak ass like butter knife in the same area where you find the TMP, and that one has very much lower durability and probably lesser attack on it. So I'm curious if that's maybe a dynamic where you can find miscellaneous random knives that can kind of, act as a substitute when your main knife has broken, which would be pretty cool. So you do have that. But yeah, it was very fun. Probably the only gripe that people have been talking about, and then the more I've played it, I've realized as well, is that the aiming was very off. In the demo, it felt way more weightier than it needed to be. And a part of me was thinking maybe it was like intentional to kind of, make the game a little bit more difficult to an extent, to kind of, I don't know, even the fields, if you will. But, people who played with mouse and keyboard had a very much better time than controller players. And I think it's affected the Xbox players the most. But yeah, it just seems like it seems off. It doesn't seem like part of it maybe could be interpreted as it being intentional, but overall I think it seems very off. But at least I believe they confirmed, Capcom themselves, that the development team for RE4 Remake confirmed that it is patched and it is resolved in a day one patch of the game. So I think we can expect to see that when the game officially releases tomorrow technically. Well, I guess midnight. But best believe, you better believe, I'll be right there, ready, right there and ready. So yeah. What else? Anything notable? They definitely seem way more overwhelming, more difficult for sure. They seem much smarter, of course. They at least this one annoying thing that they can do is like the villagers can actually grab you, but not in the traditional sense like the old games where you can shake out of it. You can technically break free, but it's much more annoying in the fact that they grab you to kind of cooperate with the other ganados to like, let's say you're getting grabbed and one of them has a pitchfork, or even like Dr. Salazar having a chainsaw. They'll grab you from behind and try to grab you until like the ganado can either chainsaw or one of them can do their attack with a hatchet or knife or whatever. So I found that very annoying. They can also shove you, which you wouldn't think necessarily would be annoying, but they do it just right at the right moments that are just very, very irritating. Like immensely irritating to the point where like it's definitely killed me sometimes, or like I think I'll try to ready up a grenade to throw at like the chainsaw man, and I'll try to throw it, but then I get pushed randomly by Ganado, and then the chainsaw man is like very close, mind you, and then like I can't do anything. He revs up his attack and I'm dead. So they definitely have made much smarter implementations of the AI and things like that. They seem to have a set moment now with the cow, if you know what I'm talking about, the village area, where I guess it seems to always automatically set the cow on fire, and he can kind of unintentionally assist you because he's, fighting for his life after he got burned and basically taking people out. So little stuff like that. Another cool kind of thing that like kind of playing with your expectations in a way, where the one guaranteed spot that you can kind of be safe in some respects, you can kind of camp out. I think that whole iconic, village moment, I think it's timed. I believe it's timed, or if you kill a certain amount of enemies, I think are the two main ways to beat it. But let's say if you go the time route, at least I think in the main game, I don't think I ever necessarily really did, but I think you can technically go to this one spot that you can go all the way up in the ladder. It's very high up, and you can just wait it out there until the bell rings, which maybe you can technically do, because I think it only triggers where basically if you pick up an item, it breaks down and you fall. So if you had that strategy in mind, you definitely can't do it apparently. Maybe you can if you just don't pick up the item and just wait it out that way, but a part of me thinks they probably have some way to still knock you down, which is pretty cool. I love stuff like that. Of course, Resident Evil remake, original Resident Evil remake, did a lot of that, playing with your expectations if you played the first game. Resident Evil 2 remake to an extent as well. I recall some moments also where they kind of, hey, if you expected this is going to go the same way since the original game, you are highly mistaken, which is pretty cool. So love stuff like that. I definitely anticipate a lot of that probably happening at, some of the most iconic moments we've played, and things of that nature. So yeah, Resident Evil 4 remake, I'm ready. I didn't think we needed it. I didn't think we needed it, but funnily enough, the more I've played it, the more I'm seeing about it. Of course, I've heard it's getting like perfect reviews yet again, which is just a great feat. Shouts out to Capcom, man. They really, man, they in their bag. They hitting their stride with the consistency, just the utmost consistency. Um, I think there was a flop. Oh yeah, I forgot. Exoprimal. We'll see. I don't know about that. I'm not too keen on it, but it's gonna be on Game Pass, so I'll probably try it out. Otherwise, yeah, I would not buy that. So yeah, RE4 Remake. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I played the demo multiple times. Probably at least 50 across the multiple platforms. Thank goodness there, yeah, like I said during the initial announcement, no time limit. So you can pretty much just hold out and play or explore it, absorb the environment as much as you want until the village fight segment, to where you then just wait it out, and after the bell rings and they leave, you can just the demo ends then. But outside of that, you can just absorb the environment and have fun that way. So yeah, I guess that was an interesting change too, with the Ganados when they have the parasite burst out of them. That does happen to some of the enemies. It seems like, I'm not sure, it probably acts in the same manner as the original, where it seemed like a random mechanic, where it seemed the likelihood is higher if you shoot people in the head that they'll pop out. They're gonna their plagas. The plagas will pop out, and they'll be like superpower, where they'll be charging at you and stuff like that. Where yeah, that is the case too. They are very, very much more aggressive if they're in that state. Definitely way more than the original game. But I guess we haven't seen how that plays out, because like there's one where the plaga split out their neck. I think essentially the first enemy you encounter, he comes back after you kick the shit out of him, but comes back, and yeah, he has that sprout out his neck. And I think it was a thing where, like, if you're near death, if they grab you, they'll like do kind of like an alien thing where they'll like penetrate your head or whatever with the plagas, and then you die that way. So a lot of cool moments there. I guess that is maybe one concern that maybe could possibly change when the main game comes out, but it seems unlikely. I wish there was a little bit more dismemberment, similar to the RE2 remake, where if you shoot an arm, or it seems that for this game, if you parry like an attack from them, you'll cut off an arm. But it seems like the game could use a little bit more graphicness. Like I saw, like, of course, the iconic chainsaw guy, when he, you don't manage to get out the way in time. At least he doesn't do the infamous decapitation. It seems like he does this new one where I guess it depends on the conditions of how he gets you, but he chainsaws you from the back, stabs you with the chainsaw from the back, and then revs up the chainsaw and goes upward, essentially splitting you in half. You would assume that you would just split like a like a very unpleasant flower in a way, but that didn't happen. It just is as if it didn't cut him at all. It didn't show necessarily any shines of him being like split in half, which a little bit disappointing. It's like, hey, if you're gonna do that, just go all the way with it. You know what I mean? Obviously, especially considering other games. But I remember it was kind of like RE2 Remake with the demos, but I think it was only the Japanese version where they do tend to censor a lot of that. Like the one iconic moment where you see the liquor for the first time. Well, not, you see hints of the liquor basically, and it shows all the sinew of the guy whose jaw that just gets obliterated, but it's way more toned down in the Japanese version. So I'm curious maybe if that could be the thing where they just by default just didn't give players the option to, but just to be safe on all ends, but to not have the gore necessarily. But then I guess that doesn't make sense, because they did show a death part or scene I've seen online where they did show Leon, like when he's near death, get grabbed by one of the villagers, where they'll, force him down with his neck out. And then another one has a hatchet and then just cuts his head off that way. So who knows? Again, a lot of this could change with the day one patch. And I think that's what a fair amount of people have been going by. So I guess we'll see. Thankfully, yeah, we'll see day one when this officially releases. Man, finally. I've not really been able to like focus and play anything else. I literally played the original once again. I played it with like all the souped up weapons on professional, which is a very fun experience still. Just seeing how easily you can kill all the bosses and stuff was a very fun experience. But so yeah, I think that is enough Resident Evil 4 Remake Demo. Of course, expect next episode I'll have it in my hands to play with the utmost immense intensity. Yeah. Also, have been playing Fortnite. That's hard for me to even say. Believe that I'm saying. I actually been playing a lot of Fortnite, so my friends got me into it. Actually, I played it, when a no build mode came out, and for little bouts in here and there. But then I, play with some of my friends who, were like, hey, yeah, hey, you want to play? Appreciate it. Just have another extra person, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right. I was very apprehensive, mind you. I'm like, Fortnite, I guess I'll try it out. But, now this new season, I forgot, they always have it segmented up. Like, I think it's chapter 2, season 4 or something like that. But at least with this season is, I guess the terminology is Fortnite Mega, where they got this new city. I think it's Mega City, where you can grind on the rails, kind of like Jet Set Radio. And you can shoot, apparently, enemies if you do. But just the cool traversal in that map. But also, they did showcase that Eren Yeager of Attack on Titan is one of the characters you can get. So, of course, I'm like, well, I might as well. So, yeah, I ended up caving in. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get the Battle Pass. I do really want Eren Yeager. And so that's what I did. And then after that, I was occasionally, browsing the item shop and stuff, where you get costumes and emotes and stuff. And then I hate to say this, but they got me there as well. I saw a cool Blade skin, the Daywalker, if you will. Looked pretty cool. I'm like, well, I really do like Blade. So I got it. I got Blade. I got Blade. then I saw a Silver Surfer. You can actually get the Silver Surfer's board. When you glide in Fortnite, they have various other IP items and stuff you can use. I'm like, well, I mean, it is Silver Surfer. It's like the most surfiest of the surfers, So I'm like, so I got the Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer glider. Oh man. Oh, and I forgot freaking Leon obviously right on the cusp of Resident Evil 4 Remake. They announced the RE Resident Evil collection, so you can get Claire Redfield and Leon S. Kennedy. So I was like, well, all right. So got Leon S. Kennedy now, Claire Redfield. And and then I saw they had a Tootsie Roll emote. I love the Tootsie Roll. I grew up, the Tootsie Roll video. So I got the Tootsie Roll emote. And what makes it great is that, you just can't beat you just can't beat Leon S. Kennedy doing a Tootsie Roll. You just can't. That's almost priceless to an extent. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. I did. This is probably the first game that, you know, I guess free to play that, you know, I actually was like, damn, I actually want to buy that. And I did. So I think as a whole, I probably spent pretty much the price of the game. I'd say maybe around $60. So I don't necessarily feel too bad about it because I am having a good time. I'm spending a substantial amount of time with the game. Got the battle pass, and at least the cool thing, you know, about the battle pass, like some of the others, is that they do pay you back the money you paid for if you complete the battle pass, which is always cool. So yeah, I didn't feel too bad about that. And as well as the time I've been investing as of late. So yeah, I never thought I'd say it, but yeah, I am pretty into Fortnite now. That is, I never thought, well, I guess my only stipulations was if it was a no build mode, which they did, of course, and maybe if they put Yakuza characters like Kiryu, Kazama, or Goro Majima in the game or anything like that. I was like, fuck, I gotta play it now. But I mean, pretty close otherwise, you know. So yeah, it got me. Fortnite is finally got me. I never thought it would. I was very much against it in a lot of ways. Well, mainly the building, but now that they did rectify that, yeah, I've been having a very good time, you know, playing with my friends and stuff. Getting quests is surprisingly fun. I never really focus on quests, but it's pretty fun in a very quick way to get rank up and experience to, you know, get all the battle pass content and things like that. So who would have thunk it, huh? I'm playing Fortnite now. I'm a Fortnite guy. That is so funny to me. But hey, I mean, it is very fun, especially when you're playing with friends. It's a fun time. And then of course the cool accessibility and the cross-platform play. So if I wanted to, I generally play on Xbox, but if I wanted to play on PC or PS5, I could do that, and you know, all my content will successfully, you know, carry over, which is a really awesome thing. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Fortnite. It's so fun. It's a fun time. That's pretty much all I've been playing. You know, outside of Modern Warfare, nothing really worth talking about there. It's Modern Warfare. A little bit of Halo, which I talked about in the main gist already there. So yeah. So let's get in what I've been watching, which of course watched the finale of The Last of Us. And it was good. It was good. I think it was pretty much the best I could ask for, you know, a adaptation, a TV show adaptation of the game. Yeah, I feel like they did everything they needed to. I mean, if I really had any critiques of the season as a whole, I wish they did maybe let some stuff marinate a little bit. It maybe did seem like the show could have used maybe an episode or two to kind of help flesh out some stuff. And then probably the other gripe maybe I would have is I do wish there was more infected and, you know, action set piece moments on the show, which I felt like the show was lacking a bit. It could have used a lot more of those moments to kind of emphasize the kind of I don't know, the sense of urgency and, like, I guess direness in regards to, you know, this community being infected, essentially, you know. Yeah, that's really pretty much it. But outside of that, in terms of, like, you know, the main story points, the main, like, points that hit with this with this series. I think they nailed it. They nailed it. They made all the right changes, the changes that made sense, that just weren't just randomly stupid and just like, we're just doing this just to be different and try to use this as an opportunity to make something else that isn't even faithful to the game in any way at all. Resident Evil for Netflix. Well, pretty much. Well, you got Resident Evil for Netflix. You got the Resident Evil movies, which are just a whole nother beast, and then you got the one Resident Evil animated show thing at Infinite Darkness, which was not that great. It's so much, and that Welcome to Raccoon City was decent. I'll give it that. It's the least of is the best representation of all of the external Resident Evil content. But then again, that's not even saying much, because that game, I mean that movie, I do have a fair amount of issues with, talking with them melding 1 and 2's events, with just made for just a lot of not so great compromises there. But I digress. Yeah, it's sad, because obviously a video game adaptation that's so good that makes you frustrated with the attempts that of one of your more favorite game series, Resident Evil, that is way more deserving, but just they can never get it right. But as far as Last was concerned, they nailed it, and of course, obviously, it helps to have Neil Druckmann, who's the director of the games, be involved to a very very pertinent extent, it seems like. So, and of course, I love the faithfulness, to the voice actors. A lot of them had some cameo / roles in the show, which is a cool, nice ode. And freaking Meryl Danders, who actually is the only character to actually reprise her role from the game to the show, which was pretty cool to see and witness. So yeah, as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was very satisfied with it. Outside of those minor gripes, but they're very minor. I enjoyed, the stories being told again, in the lens of a TV show, which was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. 11/11, had to acknowledge that. Yeah. Also, Mandalorian showed itself. I'm not sure if I talked about the first episode or any. I've seen the first 4, but nonetheless, thoroughly enjoying the Mandalorian. Of course, just that Grogu. I forgot. Let's acknowledge how much how in his prime, how much work Pedro Pascal getting escorting these people. Escorting Elliot and Grogu is just he's the man's man. You know what I mean? But I digress. Yeah, Mandalorian is pretty great. I've enjoyed the episode so far. Of course, expanding the lore that is the Star Wars universe now. But man, this latest episode, I'll at least give a tidbit. It's not necessarily a spoiler, really, but boy, the guy that played Jar Jar Binks in the prequels, they gave him another chance, and boy, I love to see it. I love to see it. It's great. It's very much great. It's so great. It really is. It really is. Yeah, just to see him get redeemed into a new role, was fantastic. It was just, it was fantastic. It was so great. It was so great. One moment. Give me one moment. Hold on. Let me see here. All right. Sorry about that. Got interrupted. Had to take care of something. Yeah. So Mandalorian was great. I'm enjoying it so far. Just that Grogu and Din Djarin combo. Is it Din Djarin? I think so. Really enjoying that. So Mandalorian is back. It's back. But let's see. With that being said, that's pretty much all I've been up to this week. Resident Evil 4, baby. I forgot John Wick 4 as well. I saw it's crazy that they they're both like rated 93 on Metacritic, which is funny. So yeah, definitely gonna enjoy both of those. Of course, we'll give you the deets next time we meet. But yeah, outside of that, that will conclude episode 171 of Switch's Sites. If you did enjoy this podcast, feel free to like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platforms. You can catch me record this live generally on Thursday evenings on Twitch TV/ASwitch. You can also catch the archive on YouTube.com/ASwitch as well. But until next time, y'all, feel free to fuck. Get your damn game on. Aw, yeah.
Nobody's safe.